It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Let's talk about 40-year-olds. Because here's the financial pitfalls for 40-year-olds is that I think a lot of people, and I've kind of alluded to this on for the 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, but I'm seeing a lot of comments out there on our YouTube channel, derail retirement plans. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. When we're talking about COVID distributions, 401k loans, be very careful, guys. Because look, when you're in your 40s, you kind of see over the hill. You kind of see where retirement's coming. Mm-hmm. And if you take those assets away, you might find in 20 years you're not where you want to be.
And I just want a common misnomer out there, because I hear this all the time, Brian. I'll be talking to someone in their 40s, say, hey, I want to put a swimming pool in the backyard, okay? And I've got this big 401k balance because I've been such a good saver. But look, I can do this. I'm just going to borrow from my 401k. I'm going to pay myself back, and I'm going to pay myself back interest. So it's kind of like a win-win. I get to be my own personal banker. What you don't realize is when you think about this 88 times over concept, when you are pulling your army, your soldiers out of the army, you are doing irreparable damage to building up your squadron. So you just have to be very, very, very careful not to take those soldiers off the field.
So you turn our soldiers into a squadron of airplanes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you recognize that. That's pretty powerful. That is how powerful
in my
20
head,
and 30-year-olds are.
Halfway in there, I got into a football analogy and had to get back out talking about the sidelines. I kind of went squirrely on that one.
O's. But that's a great lead in to, because look, we all have senior moments. And it warms my heart that in your 30s you're starting to have them, because here's the next one. Always be a student of life. And are you changing with times? Because, and here's why we put this up. We don't want to have you. I've done too many Zoom calls. I've done group Zoom calls. It doesn't matter if it's one of your children's schools. It doesn't matter if it's your church.
Professional organizations.
Continuing ed, where you're showing up in bathrobes. I mean, I've had so many instances where I've had people who've had half their face cut off because they didn't realize how the camera worked. We've had other people who, and Daniel even put one on here. He thought it was funny.
Yeah, so we'll bring it up. Apparently, this person said her boss turned herself into a potato on Microsoft Teams, but she couldn't figure out how to undo the potato setting. So for the whole meeting, she was boss potato because, again, she wasn't keeping up with the times. So basically, our lesson here is don't be boss potato. Know what you're doing. Make sure you stay up with the times.
Well, you don't want to be the one that has to get the print drivers installed every time something's going on. Try to keep up with what's going on with technology. Be a student. Don't get set in your ways, because if you're not a student of life, you're kind of going to get left behind.
I hear you say that all the time, Brian. One of the things you have to make sure that you continue to do in your 40s is be that lifetime learner. And one of the things you can do as being a lifetime learner is learning, even though you're older and wiser and have more years, there's still some stuff you can glean from your younger colleagues, from your younger counterparts. I'm not looking forward to this day, but I'm already kind of starting to this happen. There are kind of some things I can learn from my kids. The other day I got upset and my daughter reminded me of the Daniel the Tiger song, what you do when you get mad. And I was like, oh my gosh, she just told me to, curb my temper.
By your daughter.
I got schooled by a 4-year-old. But I think, recognizing that can still happen is a valuable thing to not lose hold of.
Now, when I wrote the show notes, I was kind of shooting for coworkers, but if you want to throw your kids in there, a 4-year-old, I mean, we have to set the bar somewhere, Bo. So I appreciate you setting it so low.
I'm equal opportunity.
So let's move on to the next one, which is, because this does tie in, and like I said, I'm in my 40s. I resemble this, not taking your health seriously. Look, it is easy, guys. The COVID-19, and not to make light of it, but for a lot of people, it's the COVID-15.
That's right.
Because a lot of people have used this. They've quit working out. They're not able to go to the gym. They're not watching what they eat. And you're seeing people gain weight. Mm-hmm. Now I worry about what the long-term ramifications from a health perspective from all the people who are not paying attention. Sure. So this goes outside of pandemics, because I will tell you, I heard this advice while I was in my 30s, and then now that I'm in my late 40s, I've tried to use it. When you're in your early 40s, you do have a kind of fork in the road moment is, are you going to stay healthy by exercising, keeping your cardiovascular health up? Because it goes downhill pretty quick. I'm just telling you, I'm so glad that I'm still exercising. Sure. And look, I hate exercising. I do it to stay above ground. And I have found that during this pandemic, when we've had these home orders, stay-at-home orders, I've actually missed it, not because emotionally, but just because I like how I feel
Sure.
From a physical perspective. So don't take your health for granted.
And it's, again, one of those things, just like in your 20s, if you're not being serious about how devastating credit card debt or any debt can be, in your 40s, if you're not realizing how devastating it can be to become unhealthy, it's a hard hill to walk back up. And sometimes you can't walk back up that hill. So you got to stay aware of that.
So here's a good one to close out the 40s, because we've talked about this. We've done whole shows on this. If you don't know your why, you're kind of like a rudderless ship. And I think this picture, we have a lot of fun in our pre-show meetings, but we were talking about how this guy is a perfect setup for a midlife crisis. Because just look at him, he's longingly looking out the window. He's holding his luggage, so you know this guy is traveling week in, week out, and he's probably asking, what am I doing? The heck am I doing? This is why people have midlife crises, is because they get to a point in life and they're on this rat race. They're on the interstate running as fast as they can. They look around and go, why am I here? Why did I do this? So you need to pay attention to what is the why in your life so that you can make sure you feel like you have purpose, so you have fulfillment, and it's going to create happiness. When we've done all the shows on happiness, fulfillment, this why component is so, so powerful for you.
In my experiences, we've been working, because we work with clients all over the country in all sorts of different walks of life. It's so funny. I found the ones that get the most excited about retirement, the ones who get the most excited about financial independence, are the ones who started framing that why early on. The folks who just did exactly what you did and they get to the end of the rat race and they're at 55, 60, 65, we always ask, okay, you know what you're retiring from. Have you spent any time thinking about what you're retiring to? And they're like, no, I have no idea. What's beautiful is if you can figure that out in your 40s, it can make your last 10, 15, 20, 25 working years so much sweeter as you know the thing that you're moving towards.
Well, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People begin with the end in mind. Right. I mean, if you're not, you really are a rudderless ship just out there moving across the ocean without any purpose or knowing even where you're navigating to. So pay attention to that.